Hello everyone, and welcome back. We're back with more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time we managed to get a not guilty verdict for Gilded, although we're left wondering if that was really the right call. But at the same time, it was part of our test that we had to get a not guilty verdict, so I guess nothing we can do about that. However, after the trial was over, at the end of the chapter, we saw that there was a huge fire set inside the courtroom, specifically the carriage that was the scene of the crime was set on fire, and there was also somebody trapped inside it. We have no idea who that somebody is, so maybe that's what we'll find out today. Was it Mr. McGilded, or was it someone else? Again, we'll just have to find out. So, let's begin. Yeah, we're beginning Episode 4, The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. Episode 4, The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back. Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
February 19th, 9:47 a.m. British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms are so luxurious, I felt like we were staying in a palace. And with all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Buria, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. Oh yes, it really was the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except, when I learnt that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oh dear. Oops, sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. Ugh, I really am sorry. Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodging straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. Ugh, London is a scary place. Oh, good morning to you at this early hour. Oh, yes, well... Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Suzato-san is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid, even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh, yes, it was very eye-opening. Thank you. And, in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been apprised of events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh! No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a full-fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So, I'm a lawyer now. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case? Already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. Well, Lord Six, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGilded really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo! It's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? Magnus McGilded passed away immediately following the trial. Oh, so it was him in the carriage, huh? I guess. No! What? Mr. McGilded is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yeah? It was the scene of the crime. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilded had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No! How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak, but already the police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of McGilded. That's awful! The man must have slipped inside whilst the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more attention. And how could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilded did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. An inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who is Mr. McGilda talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Poor Mr. McGilded. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, you thinking what I'm thinking? Maybe. Welcome, I might be. Welcome to the stream, Reen. How you doing tonight? All I'm thinking offhand is someone wanted to get rid of him. Especially after he was found not guilty. Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow. Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Suzato-san has such a way with words. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it is a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating. Oh, the circumstances of the case were so incriminating. I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much, at least, is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me. It's a murder and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died. As yet. And the trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours and 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. So the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh, yes, I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... well, it's left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo? I don't know if I could face staying in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilda's trial. Oh yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh, okay. Oh! If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Well, maybe not the most... I guess the most terrible for this defendant, since you said there wasn't death involved. At least not yet. Here we go again. Well, we'll see what this case is all about. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There's now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. Oh well. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Sogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world worked, so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing.
Oh!
Another thing. Continue. On the way here on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important I have to do. Something very important. And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he'd ever made it to... You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. Miss... Okay, let me read the history real quick. I suppose he would have done if he'd ever made it to Great Britain.
Mr. Naruhodo, what's all this about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me.
I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. Wasn't he at the scene of the fire? How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell.
There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean?
I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think?
Yes, you're right.
I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. Could we trouble you? What do you think? Oh! Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of your hand, you know. Mrs. Otterson told me he was foolproof. I'm a busy man, a very busy man. What in the world? There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having to give the lecture you were talking to. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers that would be saying, Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation of the yard going to tatters. There's no need to rip us apart as well.
I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer.
Eh?
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant,
Eh?
It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, is this what I think it is? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable! How did she pull that off? So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard.
Gregson? Inspector Gregson?
What's the matter with Suzato-san? Does this detective's name mean something to her?
Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson?
You're acting like you know this man, Miss Suzato, but he's a London detective.
Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact.
Very well?
Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes.
Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Roth's Magazine?
That's right! Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful, friendly rivalry.
Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible! Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time.
Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those are his own words. I'm not sure that's a compliment.
That's his highest praise?
Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see.
That he is not, and thanks to that magazine, my name is known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? Humph. I have to admit that to start with I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it is not! There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors?
Are you quite sure?
He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. Fame's gone to his head, stuff like that.
Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you?
Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work.
Oh dear. Perhaps the sudden rise to fame does change people.
So, about the case the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned, the yard, it couldn't be simpler.
Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in hospital, unconscious.
That's despicable! What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind?
I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Susato takedown, would you?
That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo.
Brace yourself, Rinosuke, you've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So, there must have been something left of the scene that led you directly to the culprit?
Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question?
Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Baroque Van Zeeks. Oh, joy. No! Sounds like you've heard of him then.
Oh, yes, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself.
The Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Baroque Von Zeeks, who we faced in court only yesterday.
Mr. McGilda told us about him before the trial, didn't he?
When Van Zeeks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname. I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it?
Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial, against Lord Von Zeeks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty.
And what of it?
Oh, well, I think that means that even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant.
No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Ah! Magnus McGilded came a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zeeks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic. I'd have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? Well, it would explain his choice of attire, maybe? Right, well, a Fengian is requested, and I'm nearly out of chips. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there.
It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place?
That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You've branded him a criminal already? He's as good as. Shaking like a leaf in a cell, he is. It'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53. Thank you. So, there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say.
Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too.
But if the man they've arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaken like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny.
So...
If I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help?
Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant.
Thank you. So then, shall we?
Yes! Let's go! Let's check out... I kind of want to check the prison first to meet our suspect. February 19th, local prison, cell 9.
So these are British prison cells.
Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon.
Yes, and haven't experienced it in Japan myself. I can assure you that it's a lot cozier than these cold stone walls.
Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem worse.
Apparently, our client is in this cell here. But it's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop by and in the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I a cat as yet with no name? Calling me by number. It's subtly, unbelievably, and justly unreasonable. I refuse to answer.
Mr. Naruhodo, what? What do you think is going on here?
I have no idea, but I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Oh!
Wait a minute, really?
Okay.
Well, that's interesting.
Excuse me, but who? Shh, quiet! They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask you, who exactly— There you are! You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it, you're a ghost! A ghost?
We mean you no harm, prisoner-san. Are you Japanese, by any chance?
Enter Mr. If he killed someone, it would have to be a total accident. Yep.
So how you doing tonight, Reen? Good, that's good. Glad to hear it.
This is beyond me wildest dreams! Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am, in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment! Okay. Who could have guessed that this new client, Lord Stronghearts, assigned to us, would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? Ah, what compassion my fellow countrymen show to dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon! A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here.
I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example?
Yes, I can. I will. Shan't stay sullen and silent. Yeah, yay?
I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy.
Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
I want to say what I did today, but I want to wait till others are here. Oh, okay. That sounds good. And I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba.
I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notably, notoriously named Natsume! Soseki Natsume. Soseki Natsume-san? What an unusual name. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku.
That was not a haiku, but okay.
It's something of a nom de plume. Nom de plume? You mean an alias?
That's right, Naruhodo-san.
No! Don't be so prosaic! It's much more refined than that! And haiku? That really reminds me of home.
Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over by the government?
Yes, that's right. A year ago I was told to go and study English. First I had to suffer that misery, and now this! It's beyond the pale! Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course.
Oh.
But just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it? No!
What do you mean?
If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable! I see. Only the other day, I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on whitewashy!
You must be a man of great standing.
Oh, yes. So I'm often told. And often like to be told, it seems.
Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki-san?
I didn't do it! I didn't commit that atrocious murder!
Murder?
Oh, no, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes! Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. Oh, what? If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here?
Oh dear. It seems this case is becoming rather complicated.
Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse. The curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. So, Seki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker.
It's vital that we find out more about the case.
It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Sure the bookshop wasn't accursed too? As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her... what now? She suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed on the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet.
How terrible!
I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran, as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that.
Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours?
Don't be ridiculous! Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English, and a young woman at that? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people! I see. A young woman unknown to Soseki-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great.
So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time? That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it?
What conundrum? What do you mean, Susanoo-san? What's the conundrum?
Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim, and that there was no one else at the scene. Then, he apparently fled without having been seen.
I did! But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit? Ah! You! What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought that a little loudly.
Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested?
Sorry?
didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So, how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place?
Oh, yes, she's right. It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck. Accursed great detective? Could it be? I shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed busybody, be gone! Yep. May you be cursed until the end of your days, Hairlock Sholmes! Pfft, oh my gosh. I knew it!
Mr. Sholmes?
Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police! Put the weapon down!"
What weapon?
Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon! Disgusting dietary discrimination devils!
You clearly had a trying morning yesterday.
And there he was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Hairlock Sholmes!
It's actually just Herlock Sholmes. He's English.
I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London.
Yes, the great detective is really very well known.
And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman! Me! This weak, stupid kitten of a man!
I wonder what great deduction process led him to this conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable.
Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in.
Of course you were. That's only natural.
I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish foreign film flammery! Oh, flimflammery!
Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English.
Good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I knew, I was in manacles. And before I knew it, I was thrown in here.
Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising.
I'm fine. He's not fine now. Mr. Naruhodo Esquire!
Esquire? I don't think he's an esquire. Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. And when we're speaking English, a simple Mr. is more than enough.
Oh, yes, alright. Yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you?
Well,
Why? Why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me?
Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour.
A student?
I have defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. But at this moment in time,
I really don't know when I'm supposed to be leaving. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means.
Oh, Naruhodo-san.
I'm not even the foreign student who is supposed to be here. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose.
What does that mean?
But that armband! That's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire! It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me.
Oh, what do you mean? Who do you mean?
The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers, they won't defend me.
Goodness, why do you say that?
For the same reason as you know before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Saseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them, someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot, without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. They're wrong! I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Saseki-san, it's just that. Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean?
We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for.
Looks like I might have to come back later, maybe once I have some evidence. Anyway, let's head to the scene of the crime. February 19th, Briar Road. So this is where it happened, Briar Road.
Oh, look! Mr. Naruhodo! Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak.
That is their job, you know.
But Mr. Naruhodo, to see one with my own eyes. They're often depicted in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, but I never dreamt I'd ever come this close. To a real Bobby's helmet.
What? The helmet?
Of course. I have to try one on one day.
Well, I hope your heady dream comes true. What's the Japanese delegation doing here?
Oh! Inspector Gregson!
This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware.
Yes, of course. We're here to investigate.
So, you've been holding to the holding cells then? What do you make of the criminal?
He's not a criminal, as you put, Inspector. He's a suspect.
Humph. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens. And the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Stone cold air of rejection.
Take heart! London at this time of year is full of stone cold air.
That makes it worse somehow.
Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by this place.
The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, Mum.
Oh, and you know I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet.
It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city.
Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful?
Being a London Bobby is hard to going, I can tell you.
Oh, really?
First thing in the morning, you know what he does? He goes round and rouses all the labourers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yep. Raps on the windows with a long pole. Did it myself, going back a bit.
I had no idea.
The Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way.
Let me see. 20 miles. That's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama.
On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps.
Oh my.
And I suppose in between of all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well.
And chase after criminals trying to evade the law.
I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly, more like alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We have men keeling over from time to time, I admit.
I'd always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo.
Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. It happened at around 5 in the evening 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in hospital. I never said she was a lady. Wait. Oh. Gotcha. Truth is, unless she comes round pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's your policy to give lawyers defend suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still.
Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept.
The local map has been entered into the court record. A street map of the local area showing where the victim was found. Let me take a look at that real quick. Oh, okay. Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and you fellow countrymen. So, who did it, do you think? Not so much of a head scratcher, is it? If only they could wait till she is conscious, but that would be too easy. Yeah! Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but...
But just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can't be sure that nobody else was present.
I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure.
How?
Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have two very reliable witnesses, no less.
Ah!
It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There were witnesses? There were witnesses now? Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard.
Ah!
A policeman? That might change things.
And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked?
Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby. Catching them banging the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Oh. I've no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems.
A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this can make our job very difficult indeed.
Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I would have warned me of that too. I could have warned me of that too. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Harlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Is this something I've said? The color is drained from his cheeks. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to say the man now. It's a waste of time trying. Which is also a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now.
Yes, we did hear something to that effect.
And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals?
The violent ones?
That's right, he handpicks his victims. The idea is those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely. That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So, this is the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. For some reason he's taken an interest.
Really? What sort of reason, Inspector?
You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Are we really going to have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he put it? Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings.
I'm sure it was the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions.
Fiddle fuddle!
Ah!
The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up here at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he?
He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he?
Gibble gabble!
Ah!
Ever seen this before? Oh, yes. That's Rant's magazine.
The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes appears.
Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its story. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in a Sherlock Holmes tale of late.
Well, I suppose there is an element of that.
We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be fronted by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals.
That can't really be true, can it, Inspector?
Clearly the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective.
Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion?
Oh, yes, what is it?
Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this.
By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, exactly.
Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all of this, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He really did.
Rant's magazine is based on Strand magazine. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again.
The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's dress even.
It's Baker Street!
How do you know that?
It's in the stories, of course. 2221B Baker Street, the most famous dress in the world.
Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find our way there before Susato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable.
Hooray! I'll summon a carriage!
So we're to have a reunion already with the great detective, Mr. Harlock Sholmes.
Okay, I'll be right back. So just give me a moment. Okay, I'm back. Soup says she's unstoppable, isn't she? Yep, pretty much. And welcome to stream, Soup. How you doing tonight? Let's see. I think I've conversed everything already. Do I need to examine anything here? Might as well see what I can do. This patch of pavement must be where the incident occurred. Yes, it's a very wide open space, isn't it? Doing alright, how are you? Excuse me, I'm doing good, thanks. That's true. I can't see anywhere an attacker could have been hiding. Oi! What are you foreigners doing here? Ah! Oh, just investigation officer, conspiring with that mustached fella from Japan, are ya? Conspiring? Come here to destroy evidence, have ya? Get out of here before I give you a hiding. Go on. He shoot us away like rats. Yes, we should give him a wide berth, I think. I was feeling weak at work, but it is time for my break anyway, so I hope it helps. Yeah, me too. Well, looks like we're not gonna be able to investigate the crime scene. What a disappointing experience. What a delightful snowman. I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. It looks a little creepy though. Oh, it has a scarf, look! You need one if you're around this freezing cold all the time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment too. We certainly can't afford a scarf. Surely a snowman here wouldn't miss his. But the person who made the snowman certainly would. Fair.
Just a sec. Yes, I know, you're right. Anyway, even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. Yeah, I thought of that too. It's probably a bit wet.
Oh, that's a Scotland Yard carriage. They use vehicles like that to rush to crime scenes and cart away criminals.
You're very well informed, aren't you?
It's long been a dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London.
Well, just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows then.
Wait, what?
Oh. Yeah, I don't think she would want to ride in it that way.
But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it. Wouldn't it? Still, if it's the only way, help me find a good stone.
Oh, goodness. No, I wasn't serious. That's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed.
By the way, are you aware of what's happened up to this point, Soup?
Because if not, I can catch you up real quick.
Okay, so you know what happened to Mr. McGilded then. This is actually the last case I've completed. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yep, old Scrooge, but the big one. Yep. I've completed all 5 cases the first game. Oh, okay. And it is 5 cases. Okay, that's good to know. I have a feeling that if we wander too close, we'll be clapped in irons. I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern.
Gilded means he's only golden on the surface. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Since I have a couple of viewers here now, I kind of want to ask your opinion on something. It probably wouldn't be anytime soon with all the games I have coming out this summer, but at some point, once I have my new laptop and capture card, would you like to see me play Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
I've played it before, but I've been recently watching a Let's Play of it, and it's kind of made me want to play it again. Like I said, I don't know how soon it would be because of all the games coming out this year, but I know I'd get to it eventually. Sure, okay. What about you, Soup? We follow your whims, Luna. Having said that, I'm never opposed to an RPG. Alright, sounds good then. Like I said, I don't know how soon I'll get to it because of all the other games coming out this year, but I will in time.
We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern.
Oh no, I'm not getting caught out again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on.
Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure it's that wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to. It does you no favors at all.
Ugh.
Okay, let's see what's over here. Well, a building.
Oh, look at the windows of that building there.
Oh. Are you sure they're windows?
Yes, but they're all filled in with bricks.
Oh, you're right! I wonder why. Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives at the moment.
There's smoke coming from the chimneys, though.
Oh dear. Everything still feels very foreign. There's so much we have to learn about this place.
Yeah, but I don't think the bricks filling in the windows is one of those. That's odd no matter where you're from.
Anyway, let's check out this bicycle. Oh, a British bicycle! Look! Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore.
Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling.
It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well.
The bicycle fad won't last.
Do you have an estimate on when you get a computer and capture card? The computer I hope to get next month. It depends on if the one I have my eye on is still available. As for the capture card, as I've said before, I have a... I've been offered by Luna Topaz that I'll be getting one. That she'll give me one that she isn't using. So I hope that she'll send it along as soon as I... In other words, I'm going to tell her when my laptop arrives and hope, or at least when I have it ordered, and maybe she'll start being able to get it sent out after that. If she can. She said she still had to find some of the cords needed for it, so I don't know if she's found those yet. But like I said, I'll talk to her about it when I order, as soon as I ordered it. Like I said, the only thing that might slow it down now is if the one I have my eye on ends up being sold out by then. But yeah, I don't have the money to get it at the moment, or I would go ahead and get it now. Anyway, don't mind me. I'm just talking. Anyway, let's continue. The bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. It's funny he says that. I imagine a lot of people in Japan ride bicycles now. At least that's what I'm assuming. If I'm wrong on that, let me know. goodness! Do you dislike bicycles?
No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. Any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground. Okay. If you'd ever tried walking on stilts and fallen into a river, I know you'd agree with me.
We'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around.
Oh, does she already know how to ride one? Okay.
That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history.
Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks in decidedly worse shape than the other houses around here.
We must find some cheap lodgings ourselves as soon as possible.
Yes, you're right. Cheap, but ideally with reasonable level floors. There are piles of snow on the pavement here and there, but the road itself is covered in carriage tracks.
It seems carriages often travel down Briar Road. It soon disperses all the snow.
I slipped over while I was walking down the pavement earlier. It seems like it would be far safer to walk on the road instead.
Oh, but you're rather small, Mr. Naruhodo, and dressed all in black. I worry coachmen might not see you, and you could be flattened by horses.
Well, thank you for the rather small concern. The clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? And with the dense fog as well, everything looks hazy.
Well, it is known as Foggy London Town.
I can just make out some sort of spire through the fog. It looks like it's still being built, though.
Aha! Yes! That must be the Crystal Tower being built for the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. Apparently, it's going to be very striking, glazed on all sides and the symbolic centerpiece of the exhibition.
It's to be the largest exhibition in history, is it? I can't even begin to imagine it.
Okay, is that everything I can look at here? I believe so. Yep, so I guess... let's see. Now what? Did I already tell? Yeah, I already read everything he had to say. So I guess I'll have to move somewhere else. Oh, a new location has been added. Okay. Japan has robust use of bicycles and enviable public transportation systems in place. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, yep, sorry. Sorry, Renosuke, your prediction is completely untrue. Anyway, show 'em sweet. Oh, cutscene. What happened to all the snow?
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day. Thanks again.
$221B. Oh, okay.
The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
As a result, the driver's license test is famously strict. Ah, okay. Okay, I'm gonna say right now, he's definitely got a nice place here. Anyway, February 19th, 12:53 p.m., Sholmes Suite. So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here somehow.
Is it as described in the stories, Miss Susato? Susato-san?
Work calls. Hope to see you later. Yeah, I hope so. It depends on how much longer this takes, which I assume will be a while. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you later. I'm trying to decide if, after I finish one part of this, if I want to play something else afterwards. I'll have to think about that. Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room.
Oh, I suppose it must have been, yes. I've never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be.
The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it! The romanticism! Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? This has reminded me, I really need to catch up on the anime Moriarty the Patriot. Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, I suppose I can, yes.
So, if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me.
She's obsessed. Well, looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anybody home? Oh, do we have a visitor? Oh, it's her.
Hello, is it a big new case, Mr. Sholmes?
Hello? Wait. Aren't you...
Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once.
I'm sure it's the same girl. Miss Susato, did you see the girl who was just here?
Hopefully you get a capture card before Fire Emblem and Xenoblade. Yeah, like I said, if it's next month, it will be. But yeah, if not, it may not be. So, just hope. Hope it is. Or just keep hoping it is. Oh, you mean the capture card. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But yeah, like I said, we'll see what happens. I plan to talk to Luna Topaz about it as soon as I get the laptop ordered. Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case.
The King of Bowaria?
King Wilhelm Gostrig says Okay, let me try that again. King Wilhelm Gostrig said... Gosh dang it. King Wilhelm Gostrig Sigismund von Orms... This name is too long. King Wilhelm Gostrig Sigismund von Ormstein, of course.
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there.
The tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Ah, it's you!
I knew it. Susato-san recognized her too.
Oh, there you are! And take a nut with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher.
Well, if it makes you feel better, it works.
Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, The inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilden's trial in the defendant's antechamber.
I never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London.
Oh, yes, it was challenging.
Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know.
Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? Depends. What color is it?
Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you?
Hurley. Hurley? Mr. Sholmes to you, Shirley?
Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas.
Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think?
And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite? Oh, silly me! I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley.
Ah, Iris, is it? What a lovely name.
What?
What's the matter?
No, wait. This can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson?
What's the matter with Susato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden?
Yes, that's right. And what are your names?
Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan.
Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikatoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it.
I guess that works.
Susie?
And Runo? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her, I don't know where to start.
Yes, and so do I.
It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey?
Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming.
Though at the same time... Just a sec. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see. Though at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us.
Like this? Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you?
Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade.
Oh, Jenny. Yes, she's a professional pickpocket.
So we found out.
It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that.
Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption?
Exactly. So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions.
This girl is dangerous.
Anyway, I brought Jenny back here after that, so she could apologize to my trusty technician.
Sorry, your technician?
Hurley, of course, silly.
Hurley?
Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together.
I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter.
Daughter? Not likely.
What?
I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost of the partner, a roommate.
Your roommates?
I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year.
Well, what of your mother and father?
Oh no, they're not around.
Oh, I see. Wonder what the story is there.
Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course, of course. Go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Roused magazine? Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world.
My stories?
That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think?
Goodness!
Last night he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came.
So you are the author?
Yes, I'll let you in on a secret. If you like, I'm going to call this latest adventure the Speckled Band.
The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar.
Of course, I always change one or two details in the story, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble.
Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually.
Yes, and of course, I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... It's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think. Don't you? So, do you mean to say... Are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Rance magazine? All written by me, yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter.
But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. Susato-san's getting more and more worked up.
Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson.
But what about the doctor of medicine part?
That's all true, too. I am a doctor of medicine.
No! At 10 years old?
At 10 years old.
Well, that's quite incredible.
But... Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman! Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow. I suppose it does, yes.
Poor Susato-san. She looks like her whole world is just falling apart. About before.
Yes, what's on your mind, Reno? Do tell me.
How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean?
Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How'd you know all that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted. Although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present her logic and reasoning spectacular.
What now?
First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Bruno. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber.
But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that?
I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket.
Oh.
So I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs.
The Reaper of the Bailey? I walked right into that one, didn't I?
Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand.
Yeah, how long has that been there?
You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today.
Oh, okay.
Ah! They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, that tells me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face. So I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case.
I see.
But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me that he'd caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling.
A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been...
Mr. Natsume! No, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that's one of my great deductions. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct?
They were spot on.
That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction.
Even managed the certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery.
Oh well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please?
So, yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying.
Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage. But the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to this crime scene.
The great detective is a popular man, it seems.
Apparently, a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man?
Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt. Saseki-san said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all. But it seems there were witnesses after all.
Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's dress. It is a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear.
Mr. Sholmes' great deductions certainly hit the mark that time.
Of course it did! He's a great detective!
Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it?
Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime.
Oh.
Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear. I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes usually depend on the first suspicious person. That's terrible! I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system.
I suppose it is, but in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Soseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative.
Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun.
Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well.
Oh, well. I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene.
Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, Mr. Natsume? Yes, Mr. Natsume? Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there.
Iris, do you know where those lodgings are?
Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there?
Yes, we know Inspector Gregson.
Ah, goody. In that case, give Gregsy this from me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know.
What is this?
A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. Iris's postcard has been entered into the court record. A card for Inspector Gregson with a message on the back from Iris. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem." Gosh, this'll make the inspector help us, will it?
Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try.
Good luck, then. I'm going to return to write in my manuscript, The Speckled Band. And I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. Oh, we'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Arhodo, it's back to the scene of the crime.
So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. To be continued. Oh, that's the end of this part, huh? Okay. I thought we were going to be talking to the detective, to the inspector again first. I wasn't expecting to end here. Let me think. I definitely want to stop this here for tonight. I'm mostly thinking about what else I want to do. Trying to think if there's another game I'd want to play. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else, so as much as I don't want to, I guess this is where I'll end for tonight. Because I am kind of already reaching my limit with reading everything. So, hope you understand. So anyway, yeah, this is where I'll go ahead and end for the night. So, I hope you all enjoyed tonight's stream. As always, you can follow my YouTube channel link below to see my past streams, as well as my Twitter account to be notified when I go live or further announcements. And I'll be back tomorrow to continue playing Ys Memories of Salsetta. So hopefully I'll see you then. And if you stick around, I'll be dropping a host. I think I know who I want to host tonight if they're still going. Yeah, we're going to host Ryoshin tonight, who I believe is playing The Legend of Dragoon. So I hope you'll stick around for that, and I hope y'all have a great night. I will see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye.